All right, so we are live. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hi, we can hear you loud and clear, Vlad.
Same here. Cool.
Good. That's a good start.
I agree. All right. Good morning, afternoon. Let's wait a minute or so before we start. As always, let us know where you're from. Where you're from. So, what places are you joining us from?
I'll go first.
Oh, by the way, where are you? Where? Oh, London. Okay, cool. Kansas City, Mexico City, Florida. Love, cool, lovely. From India, Turkey, Florida. Alan from Ukraine. London. Oh, wow. Let's go from London today.
Yeah,
Ontario.
London, Ontario.
Another one.
Still counts as London. I'm gonna
Yeah.
count as a Londoner.
Where is it? Okay, cool. All right. All right, so people are still joining us. Let's wait a few more seconds, and then we will get started with the presentation itself. Okay, okay, cool. Awesome. So awesome. Let's get started. I will start sharing the screen. So today we have quite interesting topic, in my opinion. I always wanted to talk about this one, and so cool that I had like an opportunity to talk with our partners, Flowla. So today we will be talking about like buyer engagement from the first contact to close. So how to engage your prospect, your customers, your opportunities on every stage of your B2B sales process. So as always, my name is Vlad. My name is Vlad. I'm a growth person here at Reply with SDR's background. Super happy to share everything I know about how to engage your prospect during the cold outreach, outbound stage of B2B sales process. And Alper, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my picture where I'm a little younger.
Mm.
So I'm Alper. I'm a co-founder of Flowla. Flowla is a digital sales room / mutual action plan / customer success portal. I'm the CRO. It's my first entrepreneurial experience, and before that, I started my career in consulting at Bain and Accenture, where I advised sales teams on their go-to-market strategies. Then I did all the levels of sales, from being a rep, enterprise deals, to as the deal sizes shrank from enterprise, my responsibility and the stages of the companies changed. And in the last roles, from Series D to A, and now to our company, which is now over 2 years old. And yeah, that's me.
Oh, cool. Cool. So I think we will hear from you. Cool first-hand experience. Awesome. So here's what we will cover today. We will go through every step of B2B sales process and talk about how to capture initial interest during prospecting and outbound stages, like cold outreach stages. Then best practices for maintaining engagement through discovery negotiations. Then how to like engage prospects, opportunities, and close them. And then we will share maybe a few examples how to leverage Reply and Flowla to streamline this process. And as always, we will share the recording, templates, links, slides. So stay with us till the end, and I will share everything as a link, like closer to the end of the presentation. So stay tuned. As always, feel free to interrupt us, ask your questions in the chat or the Q&A section, and I will, from time to time, stop the presentation and I will answer your questions. So that's the process here today. And let's get started. So why it matters? So every time when I think about B2B sales process, I always focus on pretty much this flywheel, and I think about like, okay, so there are a bunch of stages, and on every stage of like B2B sales process, we can lose prospects' attention, we can lose their interest, we can lose their, I don't know, their engagement basically. So, and then I think about, okay, so where we lose our prospects, opportunities, customers, and how I can, like an SDR or salesperson, growth person, like returns these prospects back to my sales process. So that's how I think about this process. And then I think how cold outreach, how like sales engagement platform like Reply can help me return these again leads, prospect, opportunities, customers back to the sales process. Again, so lots of opinions today, nothing data backed, but just sharing my personal experience. So first of all, let's talk about prospecting and outreach stage. Typically like cold outreach, right? So starting from building lists, scraping data, verifying data, collecting data, enriching data, and so on, and then adding these prospects to my sales engagement platform, sales engagement tool, then reaching out to them, and then booking the very first meeting. So, and then I will share today how I think about this process. But before we start, let me know in the chat, what's your favorite way to engage prospects when you send cold emails? Your strategy, your tactics, I don't know, maybe it's copywriting, maybe it's personalization, maybe it's relevancy. So let me know what's your favorite way to engage prospects here. Curious to know.
I like that. Using ChatGPT, I saw.
To solve their problem, personalization, cool. Relevancy and value, prospect. Personalization, okay.
I wonder if people still send Amazon cards.
Okay, yeah, that's a great way to do that. Or like a bottle of wine or something, right? Like out of the box. Send a possible opportunity, be in the known, multimedia content, inbound leads versus outbound leads. Okay. Cool, great. So, in my opinion, engagement is changing over time, because I remember when I started sending my first cold emails back in 2014, and I hadn't been using any cold outreach automation tools, and so everything was manual. So I sent my first email, and then I had to create manual tasks or use some mail merge software to automate the process with templates. And when I sent like first or second email follow-up, prospects were already engaged. So some of them were replying something like saying, "Oh, wow, cool, you follow up to me." That's awesome. I have never seen that before, because, you know, on this like, but like back in 2013, 14, 15, that was like something quite unique in B2B, right? To send follow-ups with automation tools. So it was like interesting to prospects, because you send it like additional follow-up. Nowadays, sending additional follow-up sounds like robotic, right? Then we had automation tools, sales engagement tools. Then we had like personalizations and relevancy, then AI personalization. Now we have trigger-based outreach, a bunch of tools to think about cold outreach, how to engage prospects via cold outreach, right? So, and then I will show about my 9 rules on how I'm trying to send, like, how to engage cold leads. Probably they have never heard about us, they have never tried our software, and so on. So how to like make them join a meeting with us. So how to do that. And then I think about this process in the following way. So first of all, know your customers. So why? Well, because if you send, I don't know, even personalized email to wrong prospects, it won't make sense. Why? Because, for example, if you personalize email, if you spend, I don't know, time personalizing emails to a CTO, probably they will never reply back to you because it's a wrong persona. I had conversation with the customer a few weeks ago, and I asked, so what's your ideal customer profile? Well, he said like, it's actually everyone in B2B space, all industries. And I was like, okay, that's interesting, because the same here at Reply, we have like bunch of industries, but some of them are more engaged and they have a strong like product market fit, and they typically use us. Of course, we have some customers from other industries, but it's super hard to engage them through outbound, right? So my idea here is to know your customer, be super focused, meaning like as an SDR or a salesperson or a team, just spend more time analyzing your customers based on city, country, size, industry, keywords, then group them by MRR, and then you will have something like this tree diagram, and then you will see that, for example, here at Reply, majority of our customers are from the US. They are from like computer software, information technology, internet marketing space. So I know where I should focus my energy when it comes to cold outreach, because, okay, I can send thousands of cold emails to prospect from, I don't know, design industry or design vertical, but it will be super hard to engage them because it's a little bit different use case. So that's my tip number one. Tip number two is relevance. What does this mean? What I've noticed that lots of experts are talking about personalization, and it's important, but as I said before, relevance is way more important than personalization. For example, I can send cold emails and campaigns with zero personalization, but I will send them to relevant prospects in the right time. So why? Because data says that approximately 5% of potential buyers in B2B space are actively seeking for solution at a given moment in time. So you can reach out to, I don't know, VP of sales in tech space, but they have no interest in your solution right now because everything is fine for them for example, in this specific area. But so what we need to do here is to figure out how to reach out to the prospects who are actively like seeking for a solution in your vertical, in your like space, in your category. So and so when it comes to cold outreach, in my opinion, it's all about targeting prospects who like actually are already in the market. It's the hardest part to do that, but we have a bunch of tools nowadays how we can like streamline and find those prospects, basically ignoring 95% of all other prospects. So again, 95% other potential buyers are still okay because you can send cold outreach and think about it as like advertisement and impressions, because you can send your cold emails and they will memorize your brand, your company, and when it's like perfect timing, they will reach out to you on their own. But again, cold outreach nowadays is all about targeting prospects who are already in the market. And how we can think about relevance. So to be relevant, we need to know what prospects or accounts are looking for your solution. So for this case, they like figure out we can rely on triggers or intent or signals. So pretty much the same, right? So nowadays, it's quite popular trend to have intent-based cold outreach, signal-based cold outreach with technographics, job changes, hiring data, like social listening, dark funnel, warm intros. So all these techniques could help you focus on relevant intent-based cold outreach. And then you can just use this trigger-based outreach as a reason for outreach. And then you can say, hey, I noticed you're hiring 10 SDRs. Congrats. Based on your job title, I assume that you're responsible for managing those teams. Not sure like if you're looking for a new solution, but let's have a chat. And then in that case, you will have I'm like pretty confident you will have better results than an average cold outreach. Again, because it's kind of relevant. The same could be used for your LinkedIn outreach, right? So for a few examples, how like other salespeople and SDRs reach out to me via LinkedIn saying, "Hey, recently I saw your Zapier integration," or notice that Reply uses Amplitude for user tracking. So it's already kind of trigger, right? And what's the best part here, that you can like multiply those things. For example, meaning if you know trigger, you can use it as a reason for outreach. And again, in my opinion, reason for outreach is one of the most important parts of cold emails. So, and you can use this in your emails. For example, hey, I saw, and then specify a trigger, and then you can like have a chain of thoughts in your cold email and saying, hey, I noticed that you're hiring for SDRs, and it got me thinking, and I realized, so based on this trigger. So here are a few examples we already tried in Reply. For example, that could be department growth. I noted that company department has significantly grown in the last 6 months, so thought it might be relevant, like job changers, hiring intent, reaching out to startups based on their department size. For example, if they have 10 SDRs or etc. And the same can be used even for inbound leads. For example, re-engage in closed lost opportunities, your MQLs, your customers. So always have this reason for outreach. And then what's the best part, as I said, you can build a chain of thoughts for your cold email. So it will look more like natural, in my opinion. So for example, hey, I noticed that company sales team has grown significantly in the last 6 months. How are you making sure your forecasting process scales with your team? Or how are you making sure your like sales engagement platform like has all things your team demands? Or for example, so you can always like link those things together, and it will be super easier to create those templates. So there is no need to fake your personalization. And again, number 5, super important topic is copywriting. I won't stop here. We have written a really cool guide on how to write unignorable cold emails, and I will share this a link because there are so many things there like to take into account. So we had to like write this guide on cold emails only. Copywriting is super important as well. Number 6, again, lots of people already mentioned this, personalization. Even if you're relevant, it's still great to have something personalized in your cold emails. It could be like anything. For example, it could be images, GIFs, videos, guides, landing pages, maybe links to your digital like sales room and so on. So you can use this like personalized pieces of content to personalize your emails at scale. Here are a few examples. So for example, one of our experiments in Reply was to send cold emails with personalized images with their logo, like prospects LinkedIn avatar, their company name, and so on, their primary logo color, and it worked quite awesome for us. The same, here's another example of personalized cold email to me a few weeks ago. Again, image, and then when I click on a link, it's already personalized for me, like personalized landing page just for me. And it's like works as well. Number 7, it's data-backed insights. So when it comes to insights, to engagement, so we can rely on data rather than our gut feeling. For example, we can increase our engagement like just making some small tweaks. For example, we can adjust sending windows. We can adjust our subject line length, and it will generate more opens. Then we can adjust our cold email lengths. We can A/B test things. We can check our reply rates by industry, sequence lengths, tone of voice, and there are a bunch of things there. So like changing some some small things based on data will help you increase engagement, that's for sure. And strategy number 8, be yourself. When you send cold emails, typically they are quite similar, right? So the same strategies, the same tactics, the same frameworks. So what you can do here, just add to those emails a small piece of yourself, right? So for example, here at Reply, we use personalized images. For example, Ilya from Gross Band, he uses heyo instead of generic hi, hello, first name. So, and it makes perfect sense because that's how you can differentiate yourself through all these cold emails. And then here's another example how our SDR Alessia does that for her cold emails. So quite cool use case, and it helps get way more replies, just adding this simple personalized image to her cold email follow-ups. And strategy number 8, it's outbound Turing test. That's how I call it. So be honest with yourself. After creating your template sequence, read it and ask yourself if you would respond if you received such an email from someone else. And ask yourself, do you like this email template? Do you want to see something similar in your inbox? Would you reply back if you received a similar email in your inbox? And something like that. And if you have 2 yes or 3 yes, that's awesome. So probably someone else will reply back to this cold email. If you dislike your email, just change it, just try something new. So again, it's super hard to implement all those things in together. Sometimes you have to abandon some things because you have to achieve your quota, you have to get those meetings. Sometimes it's almost impossible to implement all of these things together. The same with me. It's super hard to put everything together, but just implement one by one, add new level of engagement, and I promise your reply rates will start increasing and you will get more replies. That's how I've been doing it myself, like iteration by iteration, and then boom, you have more replies over time. So that's my strategy to how to engage cold outbound prospects during my prospecting and cold outreach stages. So and again, think about cold outreach and engagement. Like an end goal here is to like make the prospect say, "Wow, that's look interesting. Let's chat." So that's the end goal here for outbound. And then based on this statement, you just start thinking, okay, how can I change my cold email sequence to get this feeling from a prospect? That's my framework basically. All right, Alper, your turn here.
Yeah, I was enjoying listening. Now I have to do a bit of talking. Apologies in advance if I sound a bit weird because I have a strong sore throat, everyone. I think that was all great tips. What I'll add on the cold outreach bit is from years of doing cold outreach, I think these are 2 learnings that I want to share. And one of them links to what we are doing in our current organization. One, for the cold outreach to be successful, you have to have an objective for the cold outreach. Like, what is your objective? Is the sole objective of a cold outreach really to book meetings and demos? Or are you using it for different things like raising awareness, building your brand image, inviting people to your circle? The thing that really works well for us in terms of lead generation, demand generation is this integration of inbound and outbound. And what we try to do is to create the content that is relevant to our persona and then share that in our outreach. So the first message is never, come on, let's book a meeting. If you are like a seller of industrial air conditioners for a manufacturing company, then I think it's pretty clear, like it's a yes or no. Do you want to buy our air conditioner or no? But if you're selling something that is a bit new to the market, or if you're trying to educate them, then your job is a bit more difficult. Therefore, cold outreach there is not necessarily converting to the meeting from first point, but acquiring them to your funnel, like nurturing a bit, exactly. And one thing, the second point that I want to mention links to that, which is how do you educate? How do you share a lot of information without being boring, without losing the attention? And that's where, when we started building Flowla, and it's a tool that both customer success and sales teams use, and there's different values for different people, or any other digital sales room will have that. But one of our very early adapters, an SDR, was using it as the first email was, I'm going to share something with you. Are you open to it? Second email was a beautifully crafted digital sales room with the relevant information, videos, PDFs, a personalized message. And then they would send the link in the second email, A, not to kill, obviously, the conversion, and B, to be able to share a lot of information, and C, then to see who is coming to the digital sales room from the sales side. Because imagine when you're doing cold outreach, you're completely in the dark, you send something, you want to get some information, and what Flowla or other digital sales rooms to an extent, do is to give you a sense of who's joining this room, what are they. We do also enrichment on LinkedIn. How many times do they look? So you get a sense of what is your buyer panel and the real champion. Maybe that's my only contribution to the cold outreach bit. Talking about the closing, obviously engagement starts with bringing people into your funnel, which a lot of sales leaders underestimate, especially these days. I concur with your point, 2013, there weren't even tools. Like, I remember when I first had my sales job, we were sending merge mails on Word, and that was the tool. And even more stupidly, my very first campaign, I had sent one by one emails to people. There you go, I admit. Now, obviously, the tools came in, engagement was great. I think COVID and post-COVID world we live in, attention spans are very small, and it's really difficult to bring people into the funnel. But once you bring them into the funnel, there's things you need to do to make sure that people are engaged, their attention is with you, that they're paying, that they're bringing other stakeholders that are important, or you are bringing other stakeholders that are important. So let's talk a little bit about, like, how do you win winnable deals? The opportunities that you brought into your funnel, let's make sure that we're closing them. So very briefly, I will ask, and at any point, please warn me about our time, Vlad, but I guess the first question is, what is the number one reason that the folks here think is for losing a deal?
Interesting to see the result.
And for the description of a deal, let's say there is intent, there is, all the stars are aligned, that you have a potential prospect, someone interested. Excuse me.
Let's see. And all right, let's see results. Can you see it, Alper?
Yeah, and I think folks can see it too. It's really good. 41% poor discovery qualification. Don't show them.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, now people know. And then there's not enough multi-threading, obviously not sharing. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, the reason I love the sales job is I see it as the job of a seller is really to share the right information in the right time. There's this concept of good enough decision making, right? Which is the job of a seller is to listen to their prospect and understand their pain, bring them a perspective, share a point of view, and then if you're able to close that deal with your product, great, then you close, right? So we help them make good enough decisions. To make good enough decisions, the first point of entry is your discovery. Once there's an SDR to AE handoff, or the AE, they created their own opportunities, we do quarterly research on areas that are really interesting and concerning to our audience. And one of the very recent ones that we did with our great head of content, she worked on is around engagement. And the first question we asked is, why are you losing winnable deals? And the main reason for that was poor discovery. This is a really good research for folks to go to our Media Hub and read. We both asked this question to the buyers, like buyers, how do they feel about the buying process? And sellers, how do they see the selling process? And number one, again, poor discovery. Why? because you didn't collect the right information. You put something into your pipeline that wasn't an opportunity in the first place. You thought somebody was your champion, and for 5 weeks, you told your sales leader that you're going to close a deal, which was never going to close. So we have a lot of great research into how to run a stellar discovery. We'll share the checklist for that as well with the folks here, but that's the number one reason. Number two is around multi-threading. As I say, either you as the seller, you need to bring folks to your deal. Make sure that in a conversation, when you talk to your champion, who else do I have to involve in this deal? If the stars aligned, if the price was great, what are the reasons why we couldn't be working together? Asking those indirect questions will help them open up and start saying things like, we need to bring the finance person or the whatever. And the good thing with a digital sales room, of course, again, you send the information, people start coming into your room, and suddenly, we had so many instances where in our own pipeline, and our customers tell us the same, I thought X was the champion, it appears Y was the champion, because they were coming to the digital sales room 100 times afterwards. And finally, a general, I guess, misstep from sales reps is a lack of information sharing, not enough following up. Those are kind of 3 of them together. Not being able to do your job properly, let's say. This part, I'm not gonna boil the ocean, because we already talked about some of the top challenges. But on the right side is what we talk about. From cold outreach, I think intent-based outreach has been very popular, and it's becoming, as you say, like it's a very relevant way for outreach. I think intent-based discovery, negotiation, and closing, the whole process is really important nowadays. And how do you measure intent? How do you get some sort of information, data about your deal's likelihood to close? For those very crucial insights, you have different tools. And again, Flowla is no different there in terms of figuring out your champion, what is the level of intent and interest from your different stakeholders. So we provide things like how many times they access the digital sales room, how much time they're spending on it, are they inviting new people, are they engaging, are they taking the right actions, etc., etc. So the gold standard, and I know that every sales leader has a leading and lagging indicator or signal for deals closing, but engagement and making sure that your deal is top of mind and somehow keeping the deal live and nurtured is the most essential thing to make sure that you're closing. And last point here, I know that it's super intuitive that we need to follow up, but that's, again, one of the main reasons why a lot of deals fall into cracks, because we don't follow up in the right way or in the right time. Because we have a lot of content, I'm going to skip through the next slides if any of this is too fast. And if folks want to reach out and ask questions, please feel free. In terms of the 3 stages of that end-to-end engagement, from SDR to AE handoff, then throughout the deal progress, and finally which is also very critical, sales to customer success, because Flowla is used a lot by customer success professionals. And folks here also feel that there's a big convergence between sales and customer success these days, because everyone has access to information. Like, let's say you are an SDR, you send some initial information to your prospect, and then you hand it off to the AE so they can start the engagement process. But even before you do that, a lot of the information is already available through websites, internet, G2, whatever, for the buyers, right? So therefore, what are, again, those factors that can help us close a winnable deal? The first section, starting with an SDR to AE handoff, and I think throughout the process, is making it super easy and frictionless for the buyer. I think that's the key. Like, I, as a buyer, don't want to be chasing the salesperson. I don't want to be chased in the wrong times. I don't want to be asking for information. I don't want lack of transparency. Like, everything has to be smooth, transparent, and available to me. So therefore, starting from the SDR's first point of contact with the prospect, sending them a digital sales room, having different stages there. For example, on the screen, you have this welcome stage where you can have a bit of information to share, warm them up, maybe a case study, whatever. But the prospect sees transparently that there's a process we're going to follow, and there's different information which we will share with different people in different stages. Giving that sense of timeline also helps with urgency, which we'll come to. The second stage is obviously how you do your discovery and demo follow-up. I already mentioned some of the key problems. But one of the reasons why a lot of account execs or sales reps, people in closing positions really love using a tool like Flowla, it's probably because one of our very early adapters, she had described Flowla like this to me. Very simply, she was Spanish. And she said, when I have a prospect, what I do is this. I take this and I give it to the prospect, and here is everything that you need. And that's a flow. And the prospects, I think, really appreciate it because it looks great. It's all organized. What you need to deliver, I think the whole process is a psychological process, and your buyer or prospect needs to feel safe with you. They need to feel like this person has everything under control. They're sharing the right things with me at the right time because they're working towards a timeline or project, right? So making them feel comfortable, everything is in one place. Again, those are really important things. And what the digital sales room does is helps you, the seller, and the prospect to be guided through that. Maybe moving to the next stage.
By the way, I will also add here that, for example, here at Reply for some time ago for SDR AE handoff, we were using like personalized videos. So when we schedule a meetings, especially outbound one, we were adding like personalized VDR from an SDR with this personalized video saying, okay, thanks for scheduling a meeting. Now I'm like connecting with our AE. So we will have a chat like time and then what we will be talking about. So if you also can send us some additional answers to our questions, so please do that. So this will help us prepare better for the discovery call, and it was quite successful.
Yeah.
Quite successful for like experiment for us, I would say. So yeah, the same was that we were doing.
I think there is people want all the information, but they don't have the time for you, or they don't want to be abiding by your schedule. So they want availability, they want access to all the information, and they want it to be async. So the beauty of working with something like a DSR is you can have everything async. Like I can record something, you can record your reply on it, on the next day, and it keeps the whole conversation async. And the last bit about the whole process, as we started talking about multi-threading and involving different stakeholders, I already mentioned this, but what again it helps with is here you see anonymous, but for example, we can ask people to enter their names. We enrich that through LinkedIn. So you get to see who is joining your digital sales room, what are they interested in, and based on different personas, different needs, what we're launching actually next week is our autopilot. And the autopilot is basically like to me, it's a big innovation in terms of every manual task that needs to happen, all these follow-ups, you can put them on autopilot and just say, when X person views this stage, then send them a follow-up email or open this stage for the other people to see. So those kind of automation, I think, really enables the sales rep to follow a sales process and enables them to do it with multiple stakeholders.
All right. So maybe quick overview of this slide.
Yeah, I think
it's a cool one. How to avoid mistakes, right?
Yeah. All this again, it comes from years of experience and our recent research, but some of the top things that I want to share, and actually one thing, don't think of the discovery meeting or the first meeting as an opportunity to feature dump, or don't fall into the trap that your prospect is super interested in everything that you say. Think of it as a conversation. I always like to call the first sales relationship between the buyer and the seller a therapy session. It is where you unearth all the deep problems that your buyer has, even things that they don't think about. So the key here is to ask them questions about what is the real problem, and don't make it feel like interrogation. I know that a lot of reps will go into a discovery call with 10 questions that they have to ask because their sales leader told them to. You need to make it conversational. Like, I'm asking you this question because it's going to help me to deliver better value. I'm asking you your budget because based on that, I can provide different packages. So what you need to do is have a very intent-based approach, which is I have your best interest in my mind when I'm asking you questions. Let me go through the process. We'll make it conversational. It won't be one way. I will be listening to you. I will be asking you questions, but then I'm going to be sharing some benchmark, some innovative idea, right? So make sure that you are enjoying the discovery call and you're having fun with it because you're actually helping the next person solve the problem.
I actually love ignoring buying signals.
Why do you like that one?
Well, because sometimes well, it's also super hard thing because what I've noticed, we at Reply have some kind of like based on HubSpot automations, we have kind of some Slack channels for our AEs. So, for example, when their prospect visit our website, so we send like a signal, okay, this open opportunity visited our website, or this discovery call opportunity just created a free trial. So, and then what I've noticed that sometimes it's quite useful not to ignore those signals because you can send just, and I've noticed it with just my personal experience with HubSpot sales team. So every time when I do like a meaningful action on their website in product, there is always someone from their team. So they actually master those buying signals. So if you want to like just feel how it works, just maybe create a trial with HubSpot and do some stuff on their website, product, and then you will see how their salespeople and account executives rely on these buying signals to like reach out to me in the right time. So it's
again, I think that's a really cool one because I guess you're tuned towards outreach a bit more, and therefore, that grabs your attention. For me, the signals, for example, are what's happening inside that first call or your sales interaction. Like, I also do a bit of advisory work, or I coach other founders who are not necessarily commercially minded, etc., on their sales process. And often, the most cringe and terrible thing that a non-experienced salesperson will do is go on a call, talk to the prospect for 10 minutes without a stop, and just not realize that the next person is not getting any of your messages. They have fish eyes, and that is a signal, that is a very bad signal that you're not engaging this person. Even if your tool is the right thing, you're gonna lose them because you're just talking about yourself and not their problem.
That makes sense. I agree here. All right, and bonus content from Flowla. So
This one I think we'll be sharing the deck. Therefore, what you can do is you can basically go to our content hub and download a lot of free material. This is our discovery call template, basically created to run a stellar discovery.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about the final stage of thoughts on how to engage your customers now, I guess, almost ready to buy opportunities on closing and post-sales stages, so B2B sales funnel. My experience here, and again, just as a growth person, as an SDR person, I'm not a salesperson actually, unfortunately, or maybe no, again. When it comes to, again, I'm still in our sales process. So what I've noticed here when it comes to cold outreach, we still can lose our customers and opportunities on different stages of B2B sales process, as I said in the very beginning. And when it comes to cold outreach side and how we can engage buyers here, so we can actually create bunch of sequences. When it comes to Reply, we here at Reply, we use Reply not just for outbound, but for our inbound sales process and our kind of like a sales process, like the whole funnel. And for example, when it comes to no-shows, so we can lose some no-shows every month. So as you can see here, typically we have like 50, 100 booked meetings every month, and all these are no-shows. That's a huge number. So, and then I think, okay, how can I, as an SDR person, get them back? So now we have like automations here at Reply. When AE creates a note in HubSpot, no show, it triggers an automation and adds these prospects, like opportunities actually, to our sequences, like no show sequences for account executives. The same could be for ghosting opportunities. Example, if they stuck in discovery stage or like final stages of the pipeline. And so yeah, we have a bunch of those sequences for MQLs and leads in our CRM. So I will share it in our Notion file. We will send after the presentation. But again, as you can see here, we can re-engage and get back these prospects to our sales process. For example, we can re-engage ghosting opportunities. We can re-engage closed lost opportunities based on closed lost reason. We can just re-engage them on no shows. We can just reach out to all not closed demo requests in the past 6 months. So that's a playbook we are currently running, and typically we can generate additional 30-40 meetings just for this playbook in a month or so. So yeah, quite when you think about B2B sales process and sales engagement, it's an engagement buyers. It's not just about cold outreach or relying on sales and new leads. It's also about like downloading your CRM CSV file. Again, just clean it, or engage your prospects, or engage your leads, opportunities. So again, that's quite successful tactic and playbook we use here at Reply. All right, and now let's talk about your sales cycle. Here's poll number 2. Let us know, how long is your average sales cycle? Curious to know. Here at Reply, typically because of our SMB nature, it's like 30 days, like a perfect number, 1 month.
Oh.
So it's interesting because we can have different cohort-based experiments every month if needed, when needed. So it's just interesting. Okay, let's see. Oh, less.
Yeah.
1 to 3 months. Oh, okay. It's an average one, the most frequent one. Cool. Okay. 3 to 6 months. Okay, we have some enterprise SDRs, I guess, here on the call.
Yeah.
Okay, Alper, back to you.
That one person who is less than a month, I want to meet them.
Who is that?
They have the perfect product. Yeah, I think this ties into the latest section, which is around urgency. Sometimes I think in all our sales careers, our leaders, managers, etc., told us about urgency. Part of your goal is to make sure that the engagement and intention is there, that you're always moving the prospect towards the end of the funnel and closing, and making sure that you are, bringing it earlier and earlier as much as you can. Again, this is a content from our Media Hub around what I wrote was the 10 tactics you can use to create urgency. And it got really good feedback, both from experienced sales reps, and I think from people who are early to sales, or founders, or AEs who are in their very first roles. These are some of the tactics. Again, I'm not going to share all of them on the call here, but I'm just going to talk about the ones that we really like to use sometimes at Flowla, which is actually going to be on the second page. Things like tying to a strategic agenda, talking about the cost of using versus not using, etc. These are all really useful tactics. And I think there isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. Depending on your product, your stage, awareness level of your prospect, you can use the different tactics. But some of those that really work well for us is, for example, what's the consequence of not implementing a solution like Flowla? You are today, on the lucky side, you may be closing deals in less than a month, but I think that was only one person. In general, if you're lucky in the SMB side, and actually these sales cycles have become much longer due to the difficult economic times that we go through. So if you're using a tool like Flowla, it gives you a lot of opportunity around making sure that your sales playbook is implemented almost to perfection, thanks to autopilot. Making sure that you are aware of multi-threading, and you involve all the champions that you can, and you get information about it real time, so you can pick up the phone and actually advance the conversation. So talk about consequences of not implementing. That is one. Another one is show and tell, which I think we used a little bit more in the earlier stages, as we were getting to the first 20, 30 clients or so, which is obviously, it's all about safety. Sales, I think you have two really strong emotions, and one is fear. So your buyer is fearful. Your job is to make sure that they feel safe. And show and tell is a great way, which is bring a client to the conversation and show them how that other client is really using you. And I think paradigm shifts, especially if you have a bit of a novelty product, like think about Notion. You know, I resisted Notion as a product in my last 3 jobs. I didn't use Notion for 5 years. I hated it. I still listen to people who hate it. Today, I can't live without Notion. But it took me 5 years, right? So I think sometimes when you think about a new tool like digital sales room, Flowla, engagement platform, etc., or mutual action plan, some people, early adapters, which I'm sometimes not one, are going to adapt so quickly. But if you give them the notion that this paradigm shift is happening, it's going to come better soon than late, then I think it sometimes opens up perspective for people. So giving a bit of thought, leadership, and vision, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I love it because I also read recently I read, I guess, HubSpot's research as well, and they said that yet still like case studies are one of like the most like requested things from B2B buyers. Like show me how other similar companies like use your software. That's cool. Okay, so it aligns with prospects' expectation, I guess, with buyers'
Absolutely.
expectation.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's proceed. Okay, we still have a few minutes here.
Yeah, I think this closes the last section, which is, again, when we think about the sales process, we always think about demand generation, then closing. And in my very first job, which was sales job, which was maybe 10 years ago, I'd be like, here, I closed, now somebody come and deliver customer success. And obviously I was really grilled for it. Today it's a bit different, I think, especially with like SaaS tools where the role of the salesperson is in between closing a deal and showing the ropes, including the right people to actually talk about technology. What becomes really critical is the salesperson plays the role of the customer success person, because your first call, sometimes discovery call even, is like the first onboarding call, where you might be going into explaining the product in details, right? Vice versa, I think customer success is now having a much more commercial role in all this, which is especially when it comes to renewals, retention. A lot of companies are now expecting customer success to sell, to upsell, to renew, which is why this handoff is no longer like a very strict line, but it's a bit more blurry. Nevertheless, both internal and external, obviously we have some good notes around, you know, take the right details, share them timely, make sure that you're transparent, make sure that you're onboarding the right people at the right time. But again, I think the most important thing is put everything in one place and walk them through the stages at the right time. Like give the prospect a sense of, one of our advisors said, your prospect doesn't care outreach, sales, customer success. They just see one company and they just want their problem to be solved. So when you use a tool like a digital sales room, everything is in one place. The stages are clear. You can have a Gantt chart. You can have a timeline. You can automate things like when we move into deal negotiation, make sure that the person receives, the customer success person of my client receives implementation plan. And there you created a smooth process where no step is overlooked and your buyer is feeling like they're being handheld and they're in a safe process again. Yeah, I think some of these materials, I think we can share.
So yeah, we can share it. Oops,
yeah.
just a second. I
want to leave a little bit of time for questions, if at all.
Yeah. Pro tip here. Oh, that's what we already said.
Yeah, it's, I mean, basically all in one place. All the sales stages are open, and now it can become your customer success portal as well.
All right. So, and again, webinar resources, we will, okay, let me share everything right now, actually. Share, just a second, share externally, copy link, chat, so you can enjoy it before you jump off the webinar. All right. So Again, we have all resources in one link here, in an Ocean link. You can click here and you grab all resources. Again, at Reply, we're celebrating 10 years. So it's final week of the celebration. So feel free to grab our discounts. I guess Flowla will also share some kind of bonus for everyone who's still with us. Okay, so
and I also want to remind folks that next week we're launching our autopilot, which is really groundbreaking in terms of many digital sales rooms out there. What it is basically all the tedious things, all the follow-ups, all the things that need to happen automatically, but you're doing manual as a sales rep. Our idea is to make sure that Flowla is doing all of that for you. So my co-founder, Adam, will be talking about that with some really powerful panelists next week. So we would invite everyone to join as well.
Cool, awesome. All right, so all resources, all links, all useful materials from our presentation in this one link. Any questions so far before we wrap up our conversation? Was quite interesting topic because I'm not a sales expert at all, so quite useful tips when it comes to engaging customers and prospects during the disco stages. Okay, so sounds like no question. As always, let's stay in touch. Feel free to connect with me and Alper on LinkedIn, join our multi-channel cold outreach course. And as always, thank you and have a wonderful evening, morning, and afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you for hosting, Vlad. And if folks are interested in talking any of these topics, I'd be happy to chat as well. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I do one-to-one sales coaching, all that stuff. Yeah, always available.
Thanks. Awesome. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.